Hi everyone. Today I wanted to talk about the Rexcisco method, which is the third and final method of solving the Rex cube that I know and that I want to teach you. This one's a little bit more intermediate, but just to recap, the first method was the cage method, which is where you solve the dino cube stage of the Rex cube and then start filling in the centers and the petals around it. Then the next method is the reduction method. This turned the Rex cube into a scrambled ivy cube by grouping the pieces, all of these 6 pieces, into a corner, which can also be referred to as center, and then grouping 2 petals and a center as sort of this triple, or sorry, a triple here, or this just straight line like this. Now today, we're going to learn how to solve the Rex cube as though, well, pretty much how you solve an FTO. Now, fun fact, the Rex cube is a cubic shape mod of the FTO. So the way it works is that these triangular pieces on the FTO correspond to the petals on the Rex cube. And then these edge pieces, which sit between the triangles, are these edge pieces that sit between the petals. And then these corner pieces are the centers of the Rex cube. So what that means is that these pieces, the edges on both, have the same number of orientations, but the corners have 2 different orientations on FTO, and the orientation doesn't matter for the Rex cube. They do have 2 orientations, but it's only one sticker, you can't tell. So as a result, there are a few little differences between solving these 2 puzzles using the same method. The method we're going to use is the Bencisco method, which is the most popular method for solving the FTO. It's the best method currently available as far as we know. And so let's sort of break down the first stage of Bencisco / Rexcisco, which is just what I've decided to call solving a Rexcisco with that method. So what I've done here is I have scrambled the Rex cube like an ivy cube, and I've done effectively the same type thing to this FTO. And what you'll notice is that we have these 4 groups of pieces, of 6 pieces. They're called centers on an FTO. And we have 4 corners, big corners built on the Rex cube. So if I were to orient them like so, you can now see how these corners sort of sit. This group of 6 pieces, I'm just going to refer to as a center, because that's what they're called on FTO. The remaining pieces are 2 triangles and a corner that match together to make a triple, and these just correspond to the triples along these lines here. And so instead of just simply solving these 6 pieces and then the next center, then the next, and then making the lines and solving like an ivy cube, we're going to use the Bencisco method of solving the FTO. So the first step that we need to do is we need to create our first center and then solve 2 triples into a block like so. Then the next step is we need to solve the remaining 4 centers. So there's a center, and then here we have these both look about this one. Okay, so then we have our 4 centers done, and then we actually have this triple done. So then we solve this triple, and then finally what we have to do is we have to solve the last remaining triples. There's only 3 of them, and then place them into the correct slot. Now, do I remember this one? I think it's this way around. Yes, it is. There you go. So that's the breakdown of the Bencisco method on FTO. So let's grab a scramble and have a go at it on the Rex cube. Okay, so here is the scramble. R prime F small r small l prime, r prime small b small l prime small b, l small l prime, l small l prime small b prime, l small f prime small r prime small b, b prime small b prime, l small f prime f R, and then the remaining 6 are small letters, so F prime, L prime, F, B prime, L prime, R prime. I haven't scrambled my FTO in the same way. I've just done it with a hand scramble, but the basic principle remains. The first thing to do is to find your first center. So here I have some of them, and then I could do something like this, and now I've made the first center, which is those first 6 pieces. Now on the Rexcube, the center is slightly different. It's not just one color, it's actually 3. So here we've got loads of the pieces. We've got these 2 edges are matched up, and then we just need to find the red and white, which is here, and then put all the necessary pieces into there. So for example, I can do this, and that puts the white there, and then I want to put a red here. This is actually incorrect. Yeah, I will say this is an intermediate method, and I'm still not fully familiar with it, so it's quite possible that I'll make mistakes while I do this. Let's go. This would be this one, so something like this, and again, it's not the most efficient. Okay, so there we have our first center. The next step is to solve. Oh, there we are, there's a freebie, is to make triples and insert them like so. And here we have another half triple done, so we find the correct sticker and pop them in. So we've made a center, and then we put 2 triples next to them. You'll notice here we've got, okay, here we have 2 blues together, so I just find the other blue sticker, which is there. So I can move like this and match them up. And then, okay, we've got white here, and the other white is there, so what if we did something like this? Then we can match them up and then put them in place there. Now on the FTO, the next step is to solve your equatorial centers, and what you do in order to solve them is you place the first center with these triples on the back left like this, so that they're both on the bottom. The other solved corner is all the way back here. This gives you access to RU moves and R wide moves. And we're going to do the same thing here, where we're going to use this open slot here, which would have a red triple. We're going to use that to work on our centers. So let's look around. Okay, so here's what I would do first. I see that there's white here, and I've got these white pieces. And although it's not an easy case, I'm just going to try and assemble all of this together. So maybe I do something like this. And I kind of just do moves until it works. Okay, cool, there we have. So that's done, and then we need to find the correct edge, which is over here. So put the green in. That's not the right spot. We need to put the green in, and you can see how much of a beginner I am with this method. You can even see here I've actually broken up my blue triple. So the way we fix this is something like this. So this is, I would say this is much trickier than the Bencisco method on FTO, just because you have to be, it's hard, I find it harder to keep track of the pieces. So here we've got this orange that goes there, and then our green here. Okay, so this center is now done, and then we're going to move on. So we can either build this center or the one at the back. Neither looks amazing, but I do see these 2 match with this one. So moving this one out of the way because these pieces don't matter, and then there we have these 3 in a line solved. And then, well, I want to have orange here and blue there, so I'm just going to move some pieces around until I can get something in the right place. So let's try, okay, how about this? There we go, there's the blue done. And now what we want to do is we want to do an R prime to match these up, and then do some move, and then an R to put them in. But this orange needs to be here, so we hide the edge, then that puts the orange in the right place, and then these moves put that in the back. Now, an important thing to note is when we're doing the centers for FTO, we orient them. Orienting means that we move the center such that the edge on the right, or directly opposite our first center, is the correct color. So in this case, white is on the back left, and so gray should be on the right. And so we follow that principle with all 3 of the centers. We need to orient all of them like so. And so it's the same thing on the Rexcube. This one's oriented, this one's not, so now it's oriented. And what you'll notice is that with the FTO, all of my centers just ended up solved. But I'll just orient this. On the Rexcube, it's not solved. This is the same as with reduction. The reason that this isn't solved is that, well, these triangle pieces can swap with each other, just these two. Whereas on the FTO, that is also the case. These triangle pieces can swap, but they're the same color, so you can't see that they're incorrectly solved. So to grab my flashcard with the algorithms on, with a 2 swap like this, we put it to the back, and we do the setup moves, R, F prime, and then the flipping alg, so RS, R prime, L, R, RS prime, R prime, L prime, R, and then undo the setup moves, F, R prime. Okay, so next what we do, so it's a bit tricky to keep your first block on the back left for the Rexcube, but basically I'm just going to put my remaining triple slot of this first center. I'm just going to put on top here. On the FTO, what we need to do now is we need to solve our last bottom triple. So this is the last corner to go in here. So I match up the pink stickers like so, and then I want to match up this one and this one, the cyan stickers. So I do that, and then I insert it. So the same thing applies to the Rexcube. Let's say I flip the pieces around like so, and then when I match these two up here, then I can insert them like this, and then undo that setup move. So now what we have on these two puzzles are the last 3 triples. Now on FTO, of course, the triples have an orientation, so these two are going to be matched up with offset pair formation, like so. And then to avoid 2 flip, I do this. So this is offset pair formation, and then we have, let's have a look. So we have anti-clockwise corners, but we have clockwise triangles. So we start with the anti-clockwise turn. Like so. And so this is solved. On the FTO, on the Rexcube, it's not the same because these corners don't have an orientation. So the way I approach it is instead I start thinking about, there's all sorts of ways I could do it, but let's say I put this center here, right, can move. So I'm going to put these 2 pieces onto that center in this flip here, and then I can match these up like so. But what I notice now is that these 2 will swap, but I'd like these 2 to swap as well. So I'll just do what I would do on a normal Rexcube, which is flip this one on its own, and then I've set it up so that when I do a setup move, I can swap these as a pair. And now that's solved. So this was a little bit of a whistle-stop tour of solving the Rexcube using Bencisco, otherwise known as using Rexcisco. Let me know if you have any questions about that, if that's not all that clear, if it's a bit confusing and so on. And I'll make a second walkthrough of Rexcisco, and it won't be with the long explanation, it would just be Scramble and then talk through what I would do. So I hope that's helpful, and I will see you in the second walkthrough.